Bear Down Bears fans, we got to hear from both Ryan Poles and Matt Eberflus today, both of them talking about the quarterback position, Jaylon Johnson future here with the Chicago Bears, and what to expect from the whole Justin Fields, Caleb Williams conversation. Got to talk about all that more in today's episode of the Windy City Breeze Sports Talk Daily. Let's go. Now, if you are new to the channel, please like the video. Please subscribe to the page. We do talk Chicago sports daily on this channel. Only channel talk Chicago sports, how Chicago talk. The greatest thing about this, bro, I swear I'm having to do this once a month because of how quickly we're growing. Every single time we get like a excuse me, an influx of subs from you guys, man, we get back to like the growth where we're reaching an entirely new audience. So again, 49% of you guys not subscribed to the channel, but enjoying the content. Tune in with us, man. Hit that subscribe button. Appreciate you guys for showing love in the capacity that you do. Now let's talk some Bears here, because this is a big day for the Chicago Bears. Hearing from the general manager, hearing from Matt Eberflus, even though we just heard from Flus, right? Let's start it off here. Poles came out basically saying, I'm not breaking no news today, guys. We have no decision made. Nothing has been made. But we are in the process of trying to figure this out. And I like how he talked about the process that he's looking to go through, right? He is not talking about this in a way that he's rushing, right? They're taking their time, but there is an urgency to them taking their time. And I thought that was very poignant that Ryan Poles ended up pointing out today, right? That, listen, when they talked about when would you like to get a deal done for the quarterback, he talked about, listen, tomorrow. And everybody kind of laughed and it was like, and then he was like, no, I would love something as soon as possible. He said, I would love to know, but I know that that's not how the process works. Sure, before free agency would be good. Like I said, I'm also taking, if we were to do something with Justin, I want to do right by him. I know, again, living in that gray space, we want to do something sooner rather than later. And that's the part that is very interesting with all of this, right? Talking about wanting to do right by Justin Fields. There is a respect here for what Justin Fields has done for the Chicago Bears. This is just a very unique situation that the Chicago Bears are in right now, but he wants to get this done quickly, but not rushed, going through that entire process, going through that entire, breaking down or turning every single corner, and flipping every stone that is unturned, right? Like, that's what you want to see your general manager do. And the fact that he talks about this situation a couple of times, right? Talking about the whole, if I were to trade Justin Fields, right? They asked him about getting it done before free agency starts. He's like, yeah, I would love to have something like that happen if we were to go down that road, basically, because you want to do right by the quarterback. You don't want him in a situation where he's living in the gray too long. We heard Justin Fields talk about that as well, where Justin Fields basically was like, listen, I just want a decision to be made because I'm not really watching any tape in the offseason. I'm not watching any film. I want this all figured out. And so to me, hearing that from Ryan Poles the day that, I don't think that he made any hard stances one way or the other. And people are going to say he did, right? Everybody's going to have an opinion on what he did one way or the other. Oh, he absolutely is all in on Justin Fields, or he's all in on Caleb Williams. I don't think he's all in on either right now. I really believe he's going into this draft open-minded. He's going into this combine right here open-minded, and he's listening to all the offers. He said his cell phone hasn't stopped ringing since he's gotten there. The part that I also found interesting for the Chicago Bears right now, when you talk about the Caleb Williams situation, the fact that it was brought up about, hey, is there any concern for you with what Caleb could be coming to Chicago? Is there any concern on you with Caleb wanting to come to Chicago? And Ryan Poles basically was the very quick answer. No concerns on Caleb not wanting to be a Bear. I would want to know why. And I think that that's an interesting thing to bring out, right? Like that leads me to believe that no decisions are going to be made until he's at least had a conversation with Caleb Williams, which is what I've been saying the entire time. It's the only thing that makes the most amount of sense, because realistically speaking, if he doesn't want to be a Bear, why? Why don't you want to come to Chicago? Why don't you want to be here? Is it concerns with the quarterback development that has happened here? And he goes on to talk about the infrastructure that has been built here in Chicago under his tenure, right? And how he feels like he's building an infrastructure that is here to nurture a quarterback. Now, that is yet to be seen, because as a Justin Fields fan, I believe that Justin Fields has been given the short end of the stick in his time here with Ryan Poles, but maybe this is right. You've made the change now at the offensive coordinator. Now you've got definitely a tree of guys that are going to come in here and be very collaborative. And Ryan Poles or Matt Eberflus even talked about that today. We talked about a collaborative effort for the Chicago Bears with going out there and making a selection on how the offense is going to run between Shane Waldron and his coaches beneath them, right? All the coaches that they brought in, that collaborative effort, right? Like that's the part that makes me feel like there's more of a quarterback developing system that is coming to the Chicago Bears. And so that part does get me excited when I hear those things that, they're going to, he feels that there's an infrastructure that is being built here that he believes will brood quarterback success in the future. And so he's more willing to take a chance possibly on a quarterback. And I think the fact that you heard him talk about entertaining the idea of drafting Caleb Williams really tells you that he's going into this with an open mind, with an open thought process, and he wants to hear from the quarterback himself on the reasoning behind his concerns with Chicago so that he can dispel some of those reasons. Just like he dispelled some of the rumors here, right? Like I know, right? We keep talking about how quickly these guys want a deal done, how quickly they want to get a deal done for the Chicago Bears here, but they want to make sure that every stone is turned over and that they know every nook and cranny of what they're looking at with the quarterback position. He dispelled the rumors to me today about the bones of a deal being worked out here at the draft. Now, I don't know, right? Like, listen, he could be talking out of one side of his mouth. When somebody calls him with the right package, they pick up the phone, they say, listen, we want Justin Fields. We got the number 20 overall pick for you. All right, bones of the deal are worked out. Click. We'll work that out whenever we get there, right? But I think that the conversation on him coming to the combine specifically to focus on getting a deal done. Yes, everybody's in place. Yes, everybody's there, but this is not 1956. Everybody has Zoom. Everybody has telephones. There's a bunch of opportunities to get in touch with other GMs around the NFL, right? So, like, I think that this is more of a, yes, you're closer to everybody. Everybody's going to be calling you. Everybody's going to be talking with you. Everybody's going to want to meet with you. But I don't believe that Ryan Poles is just going out there and just like, all right, this pick is burning a hole in my pocket, or having Justin Fields is burning a hole in my pocket. I got to get something done here. But it was very close after the combine last year. 10 days after the combine last year. Where the Chicago Bears ended up moving on from the first overall pick. So I don't think that it's the conversations aren't happening, but I think the conversation on this is his focus at the combine, I don't believe that is the case. And I think Ryan Poles said as much today. The other thing that I thought was very interesting with Ryan Poles was the conversation on Jaylon Johnson, because a very, very strong conversation on Jaylon Johnson that he had, talking about getting back to the table, getting a deal done, wants to get a deal done. And he talked about conversations are going really well at this time. We feel like we've done a really good job coming to the table strong and showing respect that's due just in terms of his production throughout his career, and really an emphasis on the turnovers he created this past year. Our expectation is that's going to continue to go as he's with the Bears. When I say coming strong, that means cash flows are really strong. Guarantees are strong. The terms is strong for him. Being with age, there's a really good opportunity to go back on the market again and continue to earn money and play well. And hopefully that's with the Bears for a long period of time. So I'm excited about that. Like I've said about all these deals all the time, it takes two to tango, and you got to find a place that everyone feels comfortable with. So I feel really good about that situation. And I think, listen, hearing him talk about Jaylon Johnson in that way, boom, the understanding is there. Guess what? He played like a top 5 DB last year. He probably played like one of the best DBs in the NFL last year. He's one of the better takeaway guys. I have to go out there and I have to come to the table strong financially for him. What is strong going to look like? I've said Jaylon Johnson probably ends up getting over $20 million on his contract. I like the fact that he also brings up the years, though. 24 years old for Jaylon Johnson here. He's going to have another opportunity at free agency. Are we talking about maybe a shorter term deal where you go maybe a 4-year type deal and you come back to the table and see what he is at that point? Maybe you end up getting him re-signed again. Are you talking about a long-term deal? He's able to go back out there at the age of 30. I doubt that that's kind of the contract that we see the Bears go with. I wouldn't be surprised if we see kind of a 4-year deal there where escalating money every single year, starting off at about $20 million. And you got to get all the incentives right. You got to get all of the numbers right around that as the cap continues to go up. Listen, the cap went up $30 million this year. You don't think Jaylon Johnson noticed that, right? You don't think that he's like, oh, that's the jump this year? All right, well, guess what, right? That changes how the contracts are going to be worked out for the future with how the cap is going to continue to go in the right direction. I just think the fact that, you know, even with how Flus talked about Jaylon Johnson and with how Flus really, you know, was an advocate for what he wanted to see from Jaylon Johnson, thought he did a great job, you know, working with the young DBs that came in, being a leader of this defense, and finally adding on those takeaways, right? That's really the only question we ever had about Jaylon Johnson. The fact that you're seeing all of those things come together, that is the part to me that excites me about them getting back to the table. Paul's understanding where he's at right now and saying, listen, the guy did everything we asked for. We have to get a deal done. I'm glad to hear that we're looking to get a deal done with JJ on this as well. As far as takeaways from Flus's presser, I mean, Flus gave a Flus conversation. By the way, hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave that 5-star review. You guys know what to do. Appreciate you guys for showing so much love on the podcast side, over on the YouTube side, all of that, man. The Flus conversation, like Flus gave coach talk most of the day, right? There was nothing glaring that he said that I was like, oh my God, this is a major takeaway, except for the fact that he talked about his most important quality that he wants to see from the quarterback position. Still faded out, still fresh, big beard game out here. Shout out Flusy out here, man. Talked about fourth quarter and end of game situations. That's the separator for me. And those are his most important qualities. And the only reason that is interesting is for one of two things. One, that is the conversation that everybody has when you talk about Justin Fields struggling. That's the conversation that everybody has when you talked about, oh, the losses that pile up, they're on Justin Fields. It's all his fault. Everything, fourth quarter, this guy's terrible, blah, blah, blah. But that's also the thing where I look at Matt Eberflus and go, well, you were kind of terrible in some of those fourth quarter late game situations defensively, defensive play calls, how you set guys up, how you put guys in position to be successful. Luke Getsy was also pretty trash in a lot of those situations, right? We can say that these things are excuses, right? But Amir Smith-Marset fumbling last year, getting stripped up, right? Like how many of these fourth quarter things do we need to go through where for every conversation on Fields, there's a conversation on why it's not on Fields, where you go, all right, so what does this mean? To me, this means that the execution needs to be better all the way around. And yes, the quarterback position changing does change that. If you go with Caleb Williams, right, he's going to be a rookie. Fourth quarter situations might not come to him as quickly. You don't know if you're getting the next Andrew Luck or the next CJ Stroud or whatever it's going to be. He's quoted to be this generational quarterback, this top tier guy. But realistically, right, you're sitting here having the conversation on getting the job done in the fourth quarter. You don't think that they see all the reasons that Justin didn't get the job done in the fourth quarter? You don't think they look at Detroit and go, well, you know, we can't really put that on Justin not getting the job done in the fourth quarter because he threw one pass the entire game. That was a dart to Tyler Scott. If he just keeps running under it, he catches that, he probably goes in for a touchdown, right? Like they see all of the nuance that fans call excuses. To them, it's the story of the conversation. And so I do think that there's something that may play into that where you've got a guy who realistically was able to put you in multiple positions to win games, and as a team you didn't capitalize on it. How much is that going to weigh on the quarterback conversation moving forward? Again, you guys know how I feel about all of that, right? Shane Waldron to me probably should have the biggest say in that, outside of Ryan Poles, on where he wants to go quarterback wise. But realistically speaking, when you look at the future, right, when you look at what could be, is Caleb Williams that guy that's the fourth quarter dominant guy that's going to lead you back every time? I don't know that. I've seen JJ McCarthy do that a ton. I've seen Drake May do that some, right? I've seen Jaden Daniels do that some. Caleb Williams has done it, right? Like, he's done it some, right? Like, very similar to the other three guys that we've mentioned, right? Like, so I do think that if you're looking at the quarterback position, is Caleb Williams that guy who's making the right decisions in fourth quarters of games? Because we've definitely seen him make the wrong decisions in fourth quarter of games, and guess what? We've seen Justin Fields do that as well. So there's argument on both sides with all of that. At the end of the day, the one thing that I do like is that the Bears again are emphasizing an urgency to this decision to do right by the player that you have in place, but also emphasizing what's the right word? Emphasizing doing it the right way and not rushing the process just to get the process over with. That I love. That speaks to a bright future for Chicago, because you have minds in the building that are willing to work like that. That's the part that to me will be able to lead us to getting things right more times than not for the future. But we'll see what it ends up being. As always, I do want to know how you guys feel. Let me know in the comments below. I'll be down there talking with you as well. If you're big on Justin staying, drop a JF in the comments. If you're big on Caleb Williams staying, drop a CW in the comments. Make sure you drop a Bardon with it, because if you don't drop a Bardon with it, you're more worried about the player than you are the team itself, and that's a problem. As always, it's your boy Pat the Designer back at it again. Y'all stay safe out there, Chicago. One love. Bardon. Peace.